Nancy's Story World. Title: The Pot of Life. A true story from the ancient city of Benin Kingdom. A tale of betrayal, power, and destiny. Long before modernity hit the hearts of the ancient city of Benin Kingdom, in the majestic land of Benin Kingdom, the people live in harmony with the ghosts, the spirits, and the ancestors. The trees speak in whisper. The bronze carvings carried stories, and every drum beat echoed the rhythm of a sacred word. At the center of this harmony was Urewi, the pot of life. It was not ordinary vessels. It was forged by divine hands and sealed by ancestral chants. The pot held the power of life itself. With it, the land prospered. Crops grew in abundance. Children cried with joy, not hunger. And the Oba's lineage remained unbroken. The people believed that as long as the pots remained in the palace shrine, the kingdom would never see darkness. But as always, the enemy of peace is pride, and the destroyer of blessings is greed. Years passed, and the whispers began to rise in the Oba's court. Chiefs converted the pot's power. The palace priests argued over its use. And one night, when the moon turned blood red, the pot vanished. Without sound, without trace. Panic swept the kingdom. The Oba fell into a strange sickness. His breath shot, his skin ached, his voice a distant echo. The skies darkened, crops refused to grow, animals were dying, the stream was getting dried, and a strange silence gripped the once vibrant and lively Benin land. The people turned to the ghosts, but the ghosts turned their backs on them without responding, for the sacred has been defied. In the chaos, the chief priest, a towering man with the white chalk marking, and a voice like thunder, announced what the oracle had revealed. He said, "Only a virgin with a heart untouched by deceit can bring back the pot of life, and she must go into the evil forest." The evil forest, Igbo Irudaru, was a forbidden place. It was said to be the realm where the unburied spirits roamed, and the earth breathed curse instead of air. No one dare go into that forest, and no one who ever entered into that forest returned alive. And so the kingdom waited, but no one volunteered because everyone was scared for their life. Far from the palace, near the outer walls of the kingdom, lived a young girl named Aimiuwu. She wasn't a princess, neither was she a child of a noble person. She was just the daughter of a once renowned bronze caster and his late wife, Effie. Effie has been known in her time as a woman of grace and spiritual sight, a healer whose chants could calm storm. But when Effie died, she left Aimiuwu in the hands of her new stepmother, Osato, a woman with eyes like cold coals and a tongue that dripped poison. Osato hated Aimiwu not just for her beauty, but for her silence. Aimiwu was quiet, graceful, with eyes that seemed to understand too much. Her presence disturbs Osato, as though the girl could see through the layers of her bitterness. When news reached the village that the Oba was dying and that the only salvation lays with a virgin girl who must enter the evil forest to bring back the pot of life in order to restore peace to the community and to the kingdom in general. Osato lightened up as she conceived an evil thought in her heart. She saw it as a moment to dispose Aimiuwu. Aimiuwu to her was a burden she had long wished was gone. Now, she has seen this as a golden opportunity to dispose her out of her life forever. She dressed herself in fine wrappers, painted her lips with red camwood, and went to the palace. She met the chief priest. My husband's daughter is a virgin, she said boldly before the chiefs. She is pure in body and soul. She shall go. Her words shocked everyone, even Aimiuwu, who walked into the scene on her way back from the bush where she went to fetch firewood. Before she could speak, the divers were called. They cast the sacred shells. The gods confirmed it. Aimiuwu's heart was pure. Her fate was sealed. Aimiuwu's father wept. He knelt before the Oba's guard and pleaded, but tradition had spoken. The chief priest blessed her, marked her forehead with the white chalk, and handed her a small gourd of river water and a rattle made from tortoise shell. You shall wear your mother's clothes, he said, for her spirit will walk with you. The kingdom watched in silence as the gates of Igbo Irudaru opened. Amiwu stepped forward, barefooted and draped in her mother's white sacred wrapper. Her eyes steady, even as her legs trembled. The forest swallowed her without sound. Inside the evil forest was alive. Trees twisted like serpents, leaves rustled with whispers that didn't belong to the wind. The path shifted beneath her feet. She walked for hours, 10 days. Her only guide was the rhythm of her rattle and the silent prayers in her heart. As she sings along while going, she met strange beings along the way. A talking antelope whose horns glows in the dark asked her three riddles. She answered without pride. A blind woman offered her two items, a flame that never burnt out and a bowl of water that never spilled. She chose the flame, for in the darkness light is life. On the third night, a crying child appeared beneath a tree, begging her to carry him. But she remembered her mother's old warning. Not all who are crying are helpless, and not all who are hungry really need food. Some just need strength so they could bite you. She stepped back. The child's face melted, revealing a spirit's call, and it vanished into mist. Amiwo grew tired. Her feet built, her feet bled, her lips cracked. She began to lose hope. And then, in a clearing bathed in silver light, she saw it. The pot of life, glowing atop a rock, surrounded by a barrier of air so thick, even the wind couldn't pass. She tried to step forward. The air pushed her back, again and again. Her body gave out. She collapsed to the ground and wept. I've come so far, she whispered. Mother, help me. The forest still, the wind ceased, and then a fragrance, a diagbon, which smells like her mother's favorite oil. A shimmer of light appeared, and there she stood, Efe, her mother, wrapped in white and coral, her face radiant like morning. My daughter, she said, her voice soft like rainfall. The gods chose you before you were formed. You walked a path I once saw in vision. Rise. If it touched Amiwu's heart, strength surged through her. The barriers around the pot shattered like a glass. Aimiwu stepped forward and lifted the pot of life with both hands. The forest screamed, thunder roared, trees bent, the earth cracked, the spirits howled in rage. A flash of light struck Amiwu, and in a blink she was hurled through the air as she ascended into the sky, her body glowing. The pot clotted tightly into her arms. She landed just outside her father's compound, bruised but alive. Villagers screamed, children ran. The chief priest was summoned. When he saw her alive with the pot, he fell to his knees. She has returned. The gods has honored us. Aimiuwu was rushed to the palace. The Oba laying on the mats near death. She stepped forward and handed the pot of life to the chief priest, who knelt near the Oba and poured a drop of water from the pot onto his lips. He stirred, his chest rose, his eyes opened. The Oba sat up, the kingdom trembled with joy. Crops began to green. The next morning, birds returned to the skies. The rivers ran clean. The pot of life has been restored. And Aimiwu, she was no longer just a bronzecaster's daughter. She was now of Yairoba, the woman whose heart humbles the spirits. The prince, who had watched her silently for years from behind the palace curtain while other things were going on, stepped forward. Let her be my queen, he said, and so she was. As for Osato, the wicked stepmother, shame wrapped her tightly than any clothes. She arrived at the palace barefooted, her wrapper torn, her eyes swollen. She was looking lean and emaciated, like she was sick. My queen, she begged, bowing low, forgive me. I was foolish. I. Amiwo looked at her for a long time. You sent me to die, she said softly, but the gods used your hatred to shape my destiny. She turned to the guards. Let her eat in the palace for 3 days, then she may go. For even in royalty, Ami will choose mercy over revenge, and so the story lives on. In the heart of Benin, mothers tell their daughters the story. The red soil remembers every footstep, and the sacred drums that still echoed through the land. When the heart is pure, the spirits obey, and even the darkest forest must yield to the child of destiny. What was meant to destroy Amiwu brought her royalty, and her destiny was fulfilled. Never say to a child, what will you become tomorrow? Because tomorrow is pregnant and no one knows what it will deliver. That is the story of the pot of life that existed long ago in the ancient city of Benin Kingdom.